Today I am talking to Ryan Bradeley, who comes from the Ray White Kawana Waters office on the beautiful Sunshine Coast. Today Ryan is going to talk to us about how being consistent and thinking about keeping his own personal energy going has been part of the key to success. Thanks for joining me, Ryan.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That's okay. No worries, Bianca.
Now, we mentioned, just to talk about the Sunshine Coast and where you're working, we do have a very wide audience from all over Australia and New Zealand. Can you just talk a bit about your marketplace, just to give us some context?
So our marketplace, our Kawana Waters, so we've got 7 suburbs, most of which are beachside, is what we call it. So most houses you can walk to the beach. So it's pretty good. We get to live the life that we sell, which is a good balance.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you're selling right along that beachfront strip?
Correct, yeah.
And so a mix of houses and units?
Yeah, good mix. It's about 50-50.
Yep.
My marketplace is mainly houses, but the turnover of houses isn't as good, or as good, not as good as big.
Yep.
So yeah, we focus on a bit of unit stock as well.
Yeah, okay. And people who are buying and selling in that marketplace is a mixture of owner-occupiers and some investors?
Yeah, a bit of a mix.
Yep.
You get largely owner-occupied, but then second homes, a bit of investor stock for the smaller units.
Yep.
A lot of Airbnbs on the beachfront, things like that.
Yeah, great. And what's your average sale price?
Average sale price at the moment is around about sort of 1.4-ish.
Yeah.
The suburb average sale price is around that too.
Yeah, okay, great. Okay, good to get some context. So I'd like to start, we're going to talk about your career. As you mentioned, you're an elite agent. Actually haven't been in the industry for all that long, but you've grown your career really fast. And something that's really interesting about you is you've actually grown market dominance really fast. So we're going to talk about those really key things. But I'd like to start, you've got quite an interesting backstory. And real estate wasn't your original plan, was it?
No, not at all.
So talk about your former life.
So former life was in the military. I signed up when I was 17 to join the Navy as a pilot. So did 3 or 4 years in there. Got so far through my training and there was just essentially a bit of a backlog. So rather than continue that path, they gave us the option, you can get out or you can wait. So I said, see you later, and liked property, so I thought I'd give it a crack.
And it's interesting, you say I signed up for the Navy and as a pilot, but you were actually already flying before then. So when did you first get into flying?
It was sort of both me and my brother really enjoyed it when we were younger. So as we were growing up, through our early teens, I could fly a plane by myself before I could even drive a car, which is bizarre. Don't ask me why. But so every second weekend thereabouts would be out at the airfield at Warwick, because we're Sunshine Coast based. It's about a 3 or 4 hour drive out there, and Mum and Dad would wake up at the crack of dawn to take us out flying gliding it was. So yeah.
Wow. And who introduced you and your brother to that originally? Where did that come from?
I have no idea, to be honest. My brother did it and I was like, that looks cool.
Yeah.
So I tagged along and fell in love with it too.
Follow the big brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. And he's stayed on that path?
Yeah, he's still in the Navy. He's still in the Air Force.
Yeah.
So he's based down in Newcastle at the moment. He's training all the new fighter pilots coming through.
Yeah,
so
wow.
He's got a pretty cool job.
Wow.
He sends me some pretty wicked videos.
I'm sure.
Yeah, that he shouldn't.
Yeah. We might not get hold of that footage for this interview.
Yeah, maybe not.
So obviously your ideal path, there was going to be too long of a wait. As you met, there was a lot of people that came in and that intake, there was a bit of a backlog. They work on a bit of a turnover.
Yeah.
They weren't getting that, and so you thought, I need to do something else.
Yeah. They essentially, a lot of people, they recruit a lot of people expecting people to drop out and fail along the way. And there was sort of a 3 to 4 year wait before we actually got into an operational position, which is what you want to do when you join up.
Yeah.
You don't want to join up to train.
Yeah.
So rather than wait that out, the military changed a lot in those sort of 3 to 4 years for various reasons. And I just thought it might be a better path to get out and pursue another career.
Yeah, okay. And so how and why real estate?
I bought my first property when I was in the Navy, and had a really good experience. He actually accidentally called me yesterday. He pocket dialed me. We had a bit of a yarn.
Yeah, right.
Not that I own property down there anymore. So sorry, Jared, if he watches this.
No listings to be had here. Yeah.
But he gave me a really good experience, and I'm like, you know what, I think that's something I could do.
Yeah.
I really enjoy property. I did my first renovation. Like, it was just, yeah.
Something that interested
you? Yeah,
you.
something that interested me. It was the only other interest I had, bar aviation.
Yeah. And so you were living down in Sydney at this time.
Yeah, just south. So a place called Jervis Bay.
Yeah, okay.
So kind of like Sydney.
Yeah.
But a bit more bogan.
Well, you can take the boy out of the Sunshine Coast. I joke. So you dipped your toe in and you did get a job down in New South Wales at the time.
Yep.
But that wasn't never going to be probably a long-term solution. You always knew you wanted to come back home to the Sunshine Coast, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I obviously I didn't start with the thing of, hey, I'm going to leave in 6 months' time. It was, 12 months' time. It was, hey, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to give it a crack, see if I like it, and then I can continue it.
Yeah.
And then did 6 to 12 months thereabouts with the South Coast group, and Craig Hadfield, who still owns that. So he taught me a lot throughout that.
Yeah.
And then relocated back up to the Sunshine Coast.
Yeah. Okay. So that gave you enough of a taste of what it was like to work in the industry.
Yeah.
You realised, I still want to pursue it, but just wanted to be back home.
Yeah.
And so then where did you go when you came back to Queensland?
So came straight home. So I pretty much grew up on the Sunshine Coast. So straight back there, and as I moved up, James offered me a job, which is good of him. So I was his sales associate for a period of time. It was 12-ish to 18 months. So jumped straight into that role from there.
Yeah, but you knew when you were taking that role that you wanted to go further with it.
Yeah, correct, yeah. Yeah, it wasn't me dipping my toes in. It was hey, I'm all in on this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you were 12 months as an associate?
Yeah, thereabouts. Yeah, I think it ended up being 14 months because we started at the start of a financial year to make it easy.
Yeah. And was it always the plan that you would cycle out quite quickly and become an agent, or was it very much based on how you performed during that period?
No, I always wanted to get the ball rolling pretty quick.
Yep.
James gave me the option, you can come in as your own salesperson or be a sales associate. When I first started, I chose the sales associate path because I was young, I still had a lot to learn, and I thought it'd be good to get experience under a very good agent first before doing my own thing, because he was a top salesman on the Sunshine Coast at that point in time. Yeah.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because you knew that you were going to be an independent agent. You knew that you even have ambitions beyond that. Many people would just, especially having done 6 to 12 months already somewhere, would be really eager to get going. So what were the things that you think really benefited you from that 12 months of being in the team?
I got to experience, like, when I did it in New South Wales, there's a lot of calls, like real estate's calls. That's all my job was. I didn't experience anything really outside of that. So it was more, okay, like, once you book the appointment, what happens then? So it was more so doing that. It was building relationships. Like, we had a plan from the get-go. Like, it was going to be a pretty quick process, but that 12 months, what do I do? Like, what do I have to learn to get to that point? Yeah.
And so what were you really you're focusing a lot on building data?
Yeah, building data. Like the first 6 months was really like helping him and James's business. He was a business owner, so he knew that me going out on my own was a good thing anyway. But most agents think that anyway, because it's all that's part of it. So 6 months was servicing him, and then 6 months of starting to grow my own business. So like that last 6 months, I was listing, I was selling, I was doing everything that an agent would do just within his team.
So your core market is the suburb of Badina.
Yes.
And you've mentioned this has become like quite a hot spot in that part of the Sunshine Coast. So when you started to approach that area, it's like 1,800 homes, and there was an incumbent agent, a dominant agent already pretty well owning that marketplace. So you're a young person, you're a sales associate, you're kind of on the back foot. How did you set yourself about the task of starting to infiltrate that marketplace?
I essentially just started, I'm a simple guy, so I keep it simple. What do I need to do? I need to speak to people in there, so I grew a database. So I grew the database, communicated with it effectively, and then just essentially grew that. That's still what my business is today. I don't really get opportunistic stock from open homes and the like. I get called into stuff now because I've focused in that area, but I still don't chase open home stuff unless I already know them.
Yeah.
It's all like it's the best way to put it, like a farmer rather than a hunter.
Yeah. Okay. And like it's no mean feat, because you now have somewhere in the order of 65 to 70% of those 1,800 homes that are now in your database, and you're communicating to them frequently.
Yeah.
And you're still focusing, like we were just talking before, your team member Maya, that's her main focus.
Yep.
She continues to methodically move through the suburb and find new opportunities and bring them into your database.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, like we're still growing that database. Like Maya's main job at the moment is that new data we've got that's in a spreadsheet is calling them and adding them in to make sure they're communicated with. Yeah. Because you can't list something if you don't know them. Yeah.
And so what's happened then, we're talking a period of effectively 3 years since you've stepped into the sole agent role, or with a bit of a database, but continuing to grow the database, and now you are the number one agent in that marketplace.
Yeah.
And so did that feel like that was a quick progression for you? Did you expect that to happen as quickly as it did?
No, not quite.
Yeah.
It was always the plan, but it happened a lot quicker than we thought.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably down to like that no one else really did that database model.
Right.
Like the only person that did that in our office successfully was James.
Right.
And if it's not broken, don't try to fix it.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'll just take that, do that.
Yeah. But we spoke a few days ago about, you know, the obvious thing that people might be thinking with you having come from the Navy and the military background is, well, of course, you've got that discipline drummed into you. How much of that have you brought into your role, or is that just not really?
A little bit of discipline, a lot of structure.
Yeah.
Like as with every agent, like we go through leaps and bounds. No one's different. Everyone does it regardless whether they admit it or not.
Yeah.
So like I got to a phase where I was working hard, doing long hours. Like it was maybe taking a little bit of toll at home with my partner. Like we had to have a lot of conversations around it. And it was, okay, what don't I like doing and what have I fallen out of love with the job?
Yeah.
And then essentially find a way to get them done without having to do them myself.
Yeah.
So it was, if that answers
to keep that balance going. Yeah. So you say a bit of discipline but a lot of structure.
Yeah.
And you've also mentioned you're simple. You've also said to me that you like to work by just a few guiding principles.
Yes.
So what is the structure like? What does your Monday to Friday look like?
So I try and, as with everyone, I try and keep morning in the office, afternoon out at appointments. Usually it's bloody reversed, which is fine, as long as I get the time in the office to do what I need to do.
Yeah.
I can obviously Nurture Cloud's come on board, and like I've been probably the main adopter in our office with that.
Yeah.
And like obviously like it has its niggles that we all know, but it just provides structure. Like I'll forget who to call, but if I don't have that, it just tells me who I need to call because it reminds me.
Yeah.
Because if I look at a spreadsheet, like I get confused.
Yeah.
I don't look at spreadsheets. Maya knows that.
Yeah.
She gives it to me in a pie graph, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just follow the system, follow Nurture Cloud.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is that it's whatever it takes to make sure that database is being serviced. That is the core of your business.
Yeah. It's a funnel.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's essentially what it is.
So what I think is quite interesting. So we mentioned you've moved to the number one agent in Medina.
Yeah.
And you're continuing to focus, flowing down into other parts of the coast there.
Yeah.
What I think is really interesting, I made the comment at the start of the interview that you seem to be kind of really focused on getting the balance right of your energy and your time. So there's a couple of things that you've spoken to me about that I'd like to talk about. The first one is how you manage to have breaks. You have frequent breaks.
Yeah, every 3 months.
Right.
If I don't have a break in 3 months' time, I'm wrecked. I may as well not even come into the office.
Yeah.
Because my bad energy will reflect on everyone else.
Yeah. Okay.
So like I know everyone makes excuses around, I can't do that because I've got all my clients. Like, well, it is, you're no use to them if you're half there anyway.
Yeah.
Let somebody else do it.
Yeah.
So like we book it out in advance. Like start of the year, Tess and I, my partner, will sit down and come up with hey, this is when we're going to have our holidays. Try and avoid school holidays because we don't have kids. and then
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, some people don't have that luxury. But yeah, I'll try and plan it out, and then okay, we book it.
Yeah.
We have a rule that we have the time booked out at the start of the year, but we can't come back off a current holiday until we've booked the next one.
Well, that's a good time to be planning a
exactly,
holiday.
Yeah, you plan a holiday on a holiday.
On a holiday,
yeah. So it gives you something to look forward to.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I've got 10 to 12 weeks of this that's sometimes a mundane stuff. When you do, like, you're sitting in the office for 6 hours calling, no one likes it.
Yeah.
So it's okay, there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, yeah. But there's something else that you said to me as well, which was around going for the sneaky surf here and there, which, you know, everyone watching who is not resident on the Sunshine Coast is assuming that, you know, you just get going out and hitting the waves every now and then. But like, how do you make that work? That's phenomenal.
No, so I have my day-to-day structure, and it'll be wake up, go to the gym, get the body and mind moving, get into work, sort everything out that I need to sort out. If the surf's good, I'm off.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I'll usually go out for an hour or two, whether that's mid-morning or lunchtime. I call it my lunch break.
Yeah.
And then I'll eat on the go. So yeah, and it's like, I'd rather be, and I know I said it to you before, Bianca, like, I'd rather be 80% rested and 20% prepared than 80% prepared and 20% rested.
Yeah, right.
Because people's energy is reflective. Like,
Yeah.
if I walk in there and I'm tired and run down, why on earth is somebody going to want to give me their biggest asset to sell?
Yeah.
Like, if I walk in there bouncing off the bloody walls because I've just come out of the surf and my shirt's stuck to my salty body. Not that they can tell that, but like, I feel good.
Yeah.
Like, you get a bit of like the big blue heel that people call it. Like, you jump in that, get a bit of sunshine.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's got that thing. You do that. You really read a book.
Yeah.
Whatever your thing is, golf.
Yeah.
Don't get it.
Yeah.
But some people do.
But it's interesting what you say. Like, there are aspects to this job that are relentless, require long-term commitment. And so these things that you do, you mentioned the gym every morning, getting in the surf, regular breaks. It's very much about keeping yourself going in those intervening times.
Yeah, I call them work sprints.
Yeah.
We talk about it a lot in our office. Like, and like I say to James, and James and Brent are directors, like, we're going on a work sprint for the next 2 months.
Yeah.
Or even if it's not that long, 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So, like, it's been probably 3 weeks, and we got a holiday in a week and a half's time.
Yeah, you're ready. You can feel it coming. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, for 4.5, 5 weeks, I've just been head down, bum up, trying to smash out as many calls as I can, because like, I was a little bit distracted before that. So I'm like, I need to get my head down. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really great focusing point. And so now you've become successful, you're market dominant, you've an elite agent, just shy of $1 million in GCI last year. You've built a team. So how does this work with the other team members? Does Maya have the same rhythm of having as many holidays as you? How do you do that with the wider team?
I force her to plan her holidays a little bit. Then, like, sometimes her family's down in Varel in New South Wales. So, like, she wants to go back and visit them. Like, okay, no, it's like, have Monday off or Friday off or Saturday off, whatever it is, and like, we work it out to try and balance it out too. Yeah. Because I think it's equally as important. Like, if you feel like that, they're going to feel like that too. Yeah. So make sure they're rested. Yeah. And like, Maya's got her non-negotiables that have to be done, and if she does those, like, the rest, like, it's not that I don't care, but she's done what she needs to do. Everything else is just a bonus. Yeah. And that's up to her and how far she wants to take her career and how fast she wants her career to go. So.
And like, you talked to me before about the development of other people is actually what really interests you in this industry. Yeah. So what are your plans now for your team? Your team is expanding. What's that going to look like in the next 12 to 18 months?
So I've got another young fella coming on board shortly. So he starts in a couple of weeks' time, which will be really good. So essentially be us three. I don't really have a heavily admin-based person. Like, Maya's a little bit of a hybrid. And then Will, who will start soon, he's going to be purely sales associate based. Yeah. So just lead generation, maybe a little bit of buy work, if he enjoys it. Like, do the little things that people enjoy. And it makes it more tolerable. And like, in 18 months' time, I hope that's still the same. Yeah. There's no reason why you don't need 3, 4, 5 sales associates, I don't think, not in our marketplace anyway, to go and write $1.5 to $2 million.
Yeah.
I think that's ample.
Yeah.
That would be enough.
Yeah. And how have you, in your career so far, how have you made the decision around expanding the team? Like, have there been certain markers that you've had, listing a certain number, selling a certain number, cash flow? Have you done that?
Like cash flow wise, I've always reinvested a lot back into it. Like for the first 2 years, I didn't really save any money. It was all just reinvesting,
Right.
and holidays.
Well, that's an investment in yourself,
exactly,
right?
yeah.
In keeping yourself going.
Yeah. So like it wasn't so much that, it was more so what am I at my capacity? Like what is something lapsing for me to have to go and do this?
Yeah.
And yes, it was.
Yeah.
And I probably hired a little bit too late.
Right.
It wasn't. We were trying to find somebody. It was trying to find the right person. I know we just finished up Ready, Set, Go, and Gavin Riverstein was saying, "Hey, you need to hire the right person. You don't just hire anybody."
Yeah.
That's coming from the best in the business, and it's
Yeah.
trying to find that right person.
Yeah.
Which is the hard thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Because you don't want to. I hear it, and we come to a lot of like corporate events and training events, and people turning over sales associates. So like it's easy to find somebody, but it's hard to find the right person.
The right person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have to put up with me. So.
And so now that you're putting the second person in,
Yeah.
have you approached that process differently? Do you think you started earlier, or?
So I had a second person,
Yeah.
but it just didn't turn out.
Yeah.
You can never keep everybody.
Yeah.
So it was, I need someone to fill that same role,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
So as soon as that happened, we started trying to find that, and hopefully we have.
I'd like you to go back. You said you've always invested heavily.
Yeah.
So right in the beginning of your career, so everything you were earning almost,
Yep.
except like a base wage
Yeah.
almost was being invested back. What were you putting it into in those early days when you were building your
Yeah.
career up?
Like a lot of letterbox drops, they're expensive nowadays, somehow. So those bits, like concierge, to nurture, like do the calls that I'm not going to do.
Yeah.
Before I had a team, and
Yeah.
like concierge is still plugged in today. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, right.
So like things like that, advertising. Like I'm not I don't have social media. I flat out refuse to have a social media page.
Wow.
I had one for the first 6 months, and I spent more time checking on my family, friends, and competitors liking my stuff than other things. So I'm so anti it.
So it was a distraction.
It was a
than
distraction, yeah. It wasn't a tool.
Yeah.
Like I think for it to be a tool, we have to invest so much money into it.
Yeah.
And I know it's not the point of the conversation today.
No,
but
it's interesting.
yeah, it's like the people that do it successfully spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on it.
Yeah.
Did I have hundreds of thousands of dollars, or do I want to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars if somebody is in the position to do that? No. It's just not something you really like. I feel like I need.
Business model.
No.
Yeah.
Like it's a little bit old-fashioned in the sense you talk to people, grow relationships with them.
Yeah.
So it was all that side of things.
Yeah.
It was just like there wouldn't be a week that went by without something from me in somebody's mailbox at least once.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You made a statement to me about we've spoken about your database already, but you've said the words like data share equals market share. So that's that's been a mantra for you.
Yeah. We talk about that in our office a lot.
Yeah.
There's more case studies that are even coming through now from our office where people have just grown data and all of a sudden they become number 1 or 2 in that area.
Yeah.
Because I think it's probably important. You don't have to be number 1. Like you can be number 2 and you still get caught into the same stuff.
Yeah.
Like sometimes like being number 1's great, but as soon as you're number 1, I found out that it's actually a pain in the bloody ass.
Everyone's coming
after you, yeah.
You've got a target on
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
So like whether you're number 1 or number 2, like I think that's important. Like, hey, sometimes like, and there's some markets that in our key core area that it is just, and that'll be my next target. It is just going to be so hard to crack into. But the same process applies.
Yep.
They don't, like, I know my competitor doesn't have a database business. It's a relationship and a referral business, which is very good because they've been doing it for a very long time. But like, I think a database business will actually outperform that, especially with like Nurture Cloud and the AI that comes with that. Like we get a list of people that says, hey, these people are most likely going to do something.
Yeah.
Like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we've got all the tools there
100%.
do it anyway.
Why do you think that more agents don't just follow this process? It's a very, we talk about this process in our industry until we're blue in the face. Why do you think more agents don't just, it's been a really short amount of time, within probably 18 months of going out on your own, you were really hitting your strides.
Yeah.
Why do you think more agents don't do that?
I actually don't know. Confuses me. People just try and reinvent the wheel, I think. Like I know there's a lot of real estate trainers out there, and like I don't really listen to any of them. I just observe people that are doing well and what are they doing, rather than listen to a real estate trainer that doesn't sell real estate. Like their job is to come up with something new to make your business grow. If they got on there and said, hey, make 15 calls a day, every day for the next 30 years, do you think they'd have a job?
Maybe not.
Yeah, probably not, no. So
what do you think is the best advice that you've been given as you've been building your career, either before or since you've started your career in real estate?
Just be consistent.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Which is the hardest thing for people to do in our industry.
It is, it is very. But even if it's not, like it can be hard to have consistent sales, but it's easy to be consistent with your weekly activities. Like, are you consistently hitting a call target or an appraisal target or a listing presentation target? Like those three things, like the only person that they impact those is you as an agent. And then your team if you've got the team. And
fantastic. And is there something about us that we don't know? Something surprising? I haven't prepared you for this.
No, you haven't.
Something that is like a secret little talent or sporting success from years gone by, second language?
No, definitely not bilingual. I can barely speak English sometimes. I actually don't know.
Okay, that's all right. I threw that one for you.
Yeah, you did.
I'll ask you another question, which we may or may not keep. So I'm saying things are going to have to be edited. One last question for you. What's next for you?
What's next? Like my goal from the get-go was always to be a business owner. And I know sometimes things change throughout people's career path and they like different things and enjoy different things, but I really enjoy the mentoring side of things. Like so I had Bailey and Mayer under me, and when Bailey was going really well, it was actually really rewarding. Unfortunately, it just didn't turn out. And same as Mayer, like she's come out of her shell. She was like like she's only yay big, and she walks around the office, she was really shy, and now she's just bouncing off the walls.
Great.
Like it's incredible to see. And like that's not in an ego sense, that's like I'm full of energy, I'm proud. Like she's getting her work done, she booked 10 appraisals in about 2 days the other week.
Amazing.
Like just things like that, like it's actually pretty cool to see. So like my end goal is to be in that position where I can do more of that.
Fantastic.
Which is business
That's
owner.
Great. So great advice that you were given was be consistent. What would be a piece of advice that you would give to a young person starting their career today?
Just when you're about to give up, don't.
Okay.
I think a lot of people, just as it's about to click, they end up leaving the industry. But it's a snowball effect. Like when I first started, somebody said to me, you need to give it 18 months to 2 years minimum before you start seeing a return on your investment. So you spin your wheels for that long.
Okay.
Which
that's
you
great
do.
Advice.
And then all of a sudden one day you wake up and you're like, oh shit, I can't swear, can I? Okay. Oh shit, it's working. But then when that happens, don't take your foot off the pedal.
Okay. That's
push harder.
That's so good, Ryan. It's been so good to talk to you. Thank you for being so candid and open, and we look forward to seeing what comes next for you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.